Welcome, everybody, to another edition of Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. David Parker here with you. And, of course, today I have the extreme pleasure of hanging out with and chatting with Staff Sergeant Retired Dylan Gray. How you doing, Dylan?
Hey, David. How you doing? Good to see you.
Yeah, I can't complain too much. I mean, it is a blistering 81 degrees here in Charlotte, North Carolina. If you look out the window of my camper right there, I'm looking at the Charlotte NASCAR Raceway. I'm literally parked where everybody camps when they come down to the races, but that's only because I'm stuck here till I pick up the other trailer. So there could be worse places to be stuck.
Could be worse places to be stuck.
Wouldn't it be great if there was a race right now? But all I get to hear is thunder.
Once again, could be worse places to be stuck.
Right, sure. Again, thanks for coming on, Dylan. So let's have a little fun with our rant, rattle, and roll, shall we? Let's start off a little rattling of the saber. What did you do? Where did you serve? What's up with you?
Well, I joined in March '97 in California. Actually, I'm a military brat myself. So my dad was Coast Guard. He ended up getting stationed in the California Bay Area. That's where I went to high school, grew up. Joined the Army at 24. I was having a little too much fun in my early 20s, and I had a kid on the way, so I decided to man up and join the Army, and at least try to do my 4 years, see what I could get out of it, take care of my kid. Well, kind of fell in love with it, and the rest is history from there. But served in Texas, Fort Hood. That was my first duty station. That was 97 to 99. Went to Germany from 99 to 2004. Deployed while in Germany. Then I went to California, Fort Irwin. Yes, wow. I was actually stationed at Fort Irwin.
Hey, I've known some people that were stationed there. It's not quite as, yes, it is, desolate as it sounds.
Yeah, it's bad. Yeah, don't sugarcoat it. It's bad.
Where did you retire out of?
I went to Georgia, actually. Fort Benning was my last duty station.
What were you doing at Fort Benning when you said, I've had enough?
Well, actually, excuse me, when I first got there, I was assigned to 3rd Brigade, 3rd ID.
Okay.
As you know, that's the only brigade at Fort Benning from 3rd ID. And the brigade disbanded. And I only had a little over a year left to retirement. So I ended up getting a job at the WTB, actually helping soldiers, transition out of the military, whether it be medical or what have you. And so that's where I ended up retiring out of, was the WTB at Fort Benning.
I can relate to it 110%. There was a time in my life where I was in a WTU, and there was a time in my life where I was the S3 NCOIC of a WTU. So I get it.
Okay.
It's a good gig. So what was your job in the Army?
I was a 92 Alpha, automated logistical specialist. Supply, basically, logistical supply. I worked in a lot of SSAs. It's not very high tech, not very high tech at all. My recruiter made it sound phenomenal. Oh, you'll be behind a desk and behind a computer, and next thing I know, I get to Fort Hood and I'm lugging around 5-ton batteries from the vehicles, going, where the hell's my computer?
Every time I buy a house, I always remember to ask the real estate agent, were you in the military? And if they say yes, I go, were you a recruiter? Because, I don't want them selling me something like, don't worry, this house is worth $500,000. It's a 1-bedroom, no bath, no yard, but don't worry about that. You can fix it up.
Yeah, some of those guys could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Well, I heard that in training they get to sell a pen to somebody in class. Now, I'm sorry. I'm going to look at a pen and go, you want to write with something or you want to use your finger?
Oh, man. So then I went to Korea for a year. Went to Korea to Virginia, Fort Useless. But I'll tell you what, David, Fort Eustis is the best kept secret in the Army. I don't care what anyone tells you. That's the best kept secret.
Hey, you're only, 20 minutes from Virginia Beach?
Exactly. I was trying to get somewhere close to New Hampshire because that's where my wife is from.
Right.
So that was as close as I could get at the time.
Now, I got really lucky over the last week. I spent some time in Virginia and North Carolina, Got to see some now lieutenant colonels that were lieutenants when I worked with them. Oh, your phone's running away.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then I got a good friend, Sergeant First Class Brian Gwynn, retired, who lives in North Virginia, which is a town this big in the southern part of Virginia. It's Virginia. What are you going to do? So his wife works at Eustis, so I get it.
Right. I loved it in Virginia. And then, as you know, I went to Colorado for 5 years. That's where you and I met.
Yeah. What was your favorite? Was Eustis your favorite duty station?
Colorado, by far.
All right, cool. I still happen to live there. How many times did you deploy?
5 total, 4 combat.
That's a lot of time across the big pond.
Yes, sir. First deployment was Kosovo, 1999. I remember I had just gotten to Germany. I was a little PFC, and I'd been in Germany for like 2 months, and they said, "Hey, pack your stuff." And I said, "Okay, where are we going?" "We're going to Albania." Where's Albania? It's by Yugoslavia. Look, dude, I failed geography, all right? Where's Yugoslavia?
Hey,
somewhere in Europe.
At least when they said they're going to Albania, they said one of those names you didn't think you were getting screwed with. I remember being in Bravo Company 431 Infantry at 10th Mountain Division and just getting back from Iraq, and somebody was telling me, "Hey, we're going to Djibouti." And I'm like, "Yeah, your mama's Djibouti. What are you talking about?" And they're like, "No, dude, that's actually a country." I'm like, "Get out of my face." I had to go look it up. So at least Albania makes sense.
Yeah, we were on 6-month orders, and I remember flying in. We were at Tirana Air Base, which is had been abandoned since World War II, and this is the late 90s. And I remember getting there, and we get off the plane, and it's absolutely pouring rain. And I just kind of looked around, and I was like, "Oh, hell, this is going to be a long 6 months."
Right. All right, let's have a little fun with some ranting. You know how we do it. Tell me something in your career that you had to put a lot of energy in to make work for you, something you had to work at, the challenge of the service.
I think, I've been thinking about this question a lot, Dave, and I think when I became an NCO, it was adapting your leadership styles to your soldiers. I found that to be like catering your leadership style to each soldier. The Army's changed so much since you and I first joined. You know that.
Somebody in this conversation may have went to military training in 1984.
Right. Long gone are the days where, "Hey, man, you can do 100 push-ups or I can counsel you, one of the two. Take your pick. I'll choose push-ups, please." Nowadays it's having to adapt your leadership style to your soldiers' personalities, to me, was the hardest part.
No, I agree with you 110%. I agree with you 110%. And I would like to throw in there for what you just said. That's a great point. That a lot of times it was figuring out the difference between, I love to compare it to the red, yellow, blue, green personalities. I'm a red, yellow. I'm expressive. I'm a driver. But then every now and then you'd have those soldiers that were blue, green. And what's every now and then I say all the time, because believe it or not, the analytical, empathetic folks are 80% of the population versus fellas like you and I. So adapting to have a leadership style that you can actually reach those people was not exactly taught in warrior leader course.
No. To me, if I could make a difference in just one soldier's life, and possibly change his career path or whatever, then I was satisfied. To me, it was all worth it.
Right. That's an awesome attitude. I love that attitude with people that worked in the Army. I always had a harder time with the people that were like, "It's my way or you got to get out of here because I am the Thor of sergeants. I know everything there is to know about everything there is to know." Those guys drove me nuts.
I was the one that was right down in the trenches with them.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, I always told my soldiers, I'm not going to have you do anything that I wouldn't do myself or have never done. And B, I'll always treat you with respect as long as you treat me with respect. You do that, we're not going to have any problems.
Right. That's a good point. All right. So One of my favorite parts of chatting with fellas like yourself is the roll, because we all got that story about no shit, there I was. And it's just
Oh,
funny stuff. You get barbecuing with the fellas, you pop a beer, and somebody tells a story, and somebody's dropping a drink on the ground, because it's always a hilarious one. So let me hear it.
all right. So I laugh every time I think of this story just because
Good.
it happened to me. So it's funny. Well, when I was stationed at Fort Carson, as you know, I used to work for the Brigade Sergeant Major Warhorse 7. And I worked for him for 2 years, and we ended up deploying together to Kuwait. And I remember us getting to Kuwait, and we trained, with our replacements and or who we were replacing, and we drove around. I followed them all over to all the different places in Kuwait, Arif John, KNB, all those places.
Yep.
Make sure I knew where I was going. I'm writing notes, the whole 9 yards. We must have made the trip 3-4 times before we took over. So the first time I go to take Sergeant Major to Arif John off post by myself.
Mm-hmm.
We get in the car, and Sergeant Major's got his binder out. He's going to do some work. It's about an hour and a half ride to Arif John, so he's going to do some work. So he's got his binders laid out, and I make a left turn off camp, completely out of the blue for no reason. And Sergeant Major takes a notebook and goes, "Yep, okay, there's not going to be getting any work done here." He said, "You already got me lost after the first turn." I said, "Oh, damn." So I've regained my composure, and we're heading down to Arif John. Well, I get off the freeway, and I'm going to turn left towards Jara. That's not the city you want to be in. That's like civil. So I'm waiting to turn left, and Sergeant Major goes, "Sergeant Gray, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm turning left, Sergeant Major." He goes, "What for? The freeway's down there. We need to be on the freeway." I was like, "Oh, right, Sergeant Major." I'm sitting there. He goes, "Sergeant Gray, what are you doing?" By this time, I'm sweating profusely. Like the nerves have already kicked in. I said, "Sergeant Major, I'm turning left." He goes, "Why? The freeway is right there." I'm like, "Oh, right. Roger, Sergeant Major." So I sit there. Finally, after like 5 seconds, he looks at me and goes, "Sergeant Gray, what the fuck are you doing?" I was like, "I'm going left." He goes, "Get the fuck on the freeway and get me to Arif John." By this time, I'm in a complete panic. Okay, I'm flustered. I've sweated through my uniform. We get to the ECP at Arif John, and I cannot get through the ECP to get to the gate. Sergeant Major is over in the front seat just looking at me like, "Boy, if I could slap you right now, I would." He was like 20 minutes late for his meeting. Oh, it was horrible.
Well, all it takes to discombobulate you is one left turn.
Pretty much.
Okay, all right. Well, there you have it.
Pretty much in a roundabout way. But it was one of those stories like you had to be there, but at the same time, it was so. We talk about it now to this day. Him and I still talk to this day, and every time I bring it up, he rolls his eyes, and it's like.
So obviously, you're probably not a chauffeur in your after military life. What are you doing now?
Actually, I've retired. Moved to New Hampshire. My wife is born and raised in the town we live in, and we made a deal years ago. She said, "Look, Dylan, I'll follow you wherever you go." She said, "But we retire in New Hampshire." I said, "You know what? That sounds like a deal to me." So we moved here, and right after I retired, and rented a house for a couple of years, and bought some land and built a house last year. So here we are. I've got my beautiful backyard in the background there.
Nice.
And right now I am the warehouse manager for a publishing company.
So you're still doing logistics?
Yeah, actually, yes.
All right, awesome. All right, so one of the biggest things we're trying to do in building this community together is stop 22, right?
Absolutely.
You got a message for all our brothers and sisters that might be in a bad space?
I do. This is coming from someone that suffers from PTSD as myself, and do not be ashamed to get help. Please do not be ashamed to get help. I seek help myself. I go through the VA here in New Hampshire. I'm not ashamed to admit it. I've seen and done things that that no human being ever should. And, you know, there's absolutely no shame in getting help. Transitioning out of the military is another hard thing. I was very depressed for a while when I got out. Being a soldier is all I know. All I know how to do is be a soldier. I did it almost half my life. You know, it was a hard transition to, okay, now I don't have that structure. I started drinking a lot when I first retired, got very depressed, managed to take myself out of it through help through the VA and my support system, your family. Look to your family. Do not suffer in silence. There are people out there to help. Use your resources.
Amen, brother. Strong message. Hey, 22 out there, pick up the phone, call somebody, send us a Facebook message, do something. Please don't check
Hell,
out.
Facebook message me.
Right. Wake us up in the middle of the night. We don't care. All right.
Don't care at all.
There. We've all put some sweat in some boots. We've done some things that we needed to do. Everybody's got a story. That's why I can't tell you enough that Dylan, thanks for coming on here, because we all got a story, because the goal is maybe we can find that one story from one fellow veteran that'll reach one of those 22 and that won't check out. They'll stand up and say, I'm going to keep on fighting, which is what this thing is all about. So, Dylan, again, thanks for coming on here, brother.
Hey, David, thank you very much for having me. It was an honor to be on here. And like I said, keep spreading the good word, my friend.
All right, thank you very much. Hey, thanks, everybody, for watching yet again another edition of Veterans Rant, Rattle, and Roll. If you want to be interviewed, go onto our Facebook and click the book now, and we'll get together and we'll chat like I just did with Dylan. Remember, 22, don't do it. You raised your hand, you volunteered, you stood up, and you did something incredible. I don't care if you did it for 1 year or 50 years. You did something incredible. I don't care if you deployed or didn't deploy. The point is, you put the uniform on. We want you to keep serving with us, so please don't do it. Pick up and call the phone. And until the next time, Sergeant First Class Retired David L. Parker saying, rant, rattle, and roll, and I'm out of here.